Mahashi's Global Family Chat. News of rising invincibility around the world. This is the news everyone needs to understand how the trends of time are changing towards peace and prosperity. Mahashi's Vedic technologies, transcendental meditation, and its advanced program Yogic Flying are being implemented globally. Just the square root of 1% of the population practicing yogic flying together in a group is enough to raise the levels of harmony and coherence in the collective consciousness for the whole population. Enjoy the news of enlightenment dawning for every individual, invincibility for every nation, and peace for our dear world. Jai Gurudev, welcome to Mahashi's Global Family Chat on the 2nd of June 2020. Today it's a great joy to welcome Raja Luis again. Raja Luis is Raja of Invincible Latin America, and he is also Minister of Natural Law of the global country of world peace, in which capacity he has responsibility for the Mahashi Vedic Pandits, and he is also, of course, working very closely with the Mahashi Jyotishis, who do the horoscopes. And Raja Luis Ji, we have had some requests for clarification about the trends during this very remarkable period of transformation that we're going through. And wonder if you would like to say something about the Jyotish trends from now until maybe the end of the year, until it starts to get better. So welcome, Raja Luis Ji, and please go ahead.
Jai Gurudev, Dr. Swan, and thank you. So the Maharishi Jyotish Pandits, when they do their evaluation of these periods, like we have said, maybe in some other meeting that we had in the Global Family Chat, they indicate that there are basically 4 periods during this year that have special characteristics. The first one was the one that was starting from mid of February and that went up to April, at the end of April. And that was when this global virus, the virus became global, from China to the world, and it was a high rise in a number of countries. Then there is another period that goes from this, just to don't give the dates, but more or less the period that goes from these months of May, and then June, July, where we will be seeing that in some countries, the coronavirus is decreasing gradually, and they are starting to open up back to their new reality in a slow way, but there is a transformation compared to the previous month of March and April. And this is gradual in a number of countries and goes until July in a number of other countries that now they are still dealing with it more strongly. But there is a trend until July of diminution of the impact. From the 28th of May, which is very recent, there was some special aspect or consideration within the planetary understanding of Maharishi Jyotish that was showing some tensions in the US and in China and in their relation and with the World Health Organization. And we are seeing, anyway, all these things have been happening, so we don't need to comment much on them, but they are in their predictions. And then there is this period that goes from July, August, and then reaches September, that gradually, and then in September we have a better period, and the period from July, August, reaching September, it is less intense than the period we have now until July, and that much less intense than the one that we had from February until now. And what we see is less impact of this pandemic and more solutions, a recovery of the reaction of the government, and improvement in the policies for recovering the economic turndown that has happened, along with the very difficult health situation. And then there is more solutions, more creativity, new relations among the countries, more positivity, more a trend towards solutions and transformations, and absorbing all these transformation of the world and its positive outcome and results from that period that goes from September, October on. Still, it's not that a pandemic is something that doesn't go out of the way suddenly. It's a slow process, but these are the 4 periods that we can see, and we can see that if we compare to each other, it's less and less and less, and more, little bit more openings up in the economy and in the governmental policies, and a great development of more creative and new trends in society, and more and much more connection between the values of development of human consciousness and social consciousness to be more predominant. The new generation already has its field of internet that knows no frontiers, and is one field where they feel very comfortable. It's a field that connects everywhere and everyone in that level. So in the same level, consciousness starts to be a common element, a common element in all these situations, in all these social values, like a key player in the social values, compared to the previous times that has had a less prevalent role. So the outcome of the internet, it was like a predecessor of a more understanding that there is a field of consciousness that has a role not only for the individual, but for society, for the economy, and for the government policies, and there outlines a transformation in the quality of human values in society. So this will be, in very short, very, very synthetic. We can give many details, but this basically expresses these 4 periods and its gradual improvement and transformation in the field of economy, and especially in the field of health.
Thank you, Raja Luis. So it's looking good, and we have passed through the worst time, and now it's gradually getting better, May through until July. And is that sort of the end of July, or?
It is, for some countries, is more the beginning of July. For the Americas, it's more July, the end of July. During June, July, still there is the impact. For the Americas, yeah, for Europe, definitely, yeah, it's much more light. And in September, like, the whole phenomenon has been already digested better, absorbed better, policies are better integrated. So this shock of world consciousness that has happened during this year has its recover, and it's like all the energy of transformation of society is in full blossoming for betterment of society.
So the new, can you say a little more about the new value of society that is coming out of this process of transformation? It's very interesting.
The thing is that when we look at the the trends, history in one level repeats itself, but we have to say that Maharishi, all these years, every time that was going to happen something, he was launching some value that was not only transforming the time, but giving it a new direction, And that has been done systematically. One of the studies that we have done with the Jyotish, Maharishi Jyotish, is not, it's a little bit long to explain here, but compares some of the critical events from the 60s to 2010 and what year Maharishi called and what action was taken and how that was balancing. It's a very precious, natural understanding of the progress of the movement in terms of creating positive trends for society and for the world in an historic perspective. And from that view, the values of society are also changing. The values that started the last 50 or 100 years are not the same, neither in science, not in religion, not in economy, not in human relations. They are being transformed. And what is the transformation? The transformation is that we are going to more unified levels, meaning that levels that before were not connected, they are every time more connected, and they are more interrelated, and they are more, let's say, meeting points of previous separated realities in all values, in religion, in politics, in economy, in the human values. And the technology, until now, there have not been a technology of social transformation. Maharishi's technologies, Vedic science and technology, plays that role when you see it historically, when you see it from a broader perspective, that at certain moments when it was necessary to create more consciousness, the groups of coherence, the yogic flyers, the Maharishi Vedic Pandits, the meditation, transcendental meditation, which is a blessing for the individual, but we are talking now its holistic value for society, as a whole.
Yes.
Created a field of consciousness, and that field of consciousness started to be more saturated. And as this saturation starts to happen, one, the Jyotishis said that if it was not that, the events had been much difficult and much different than what we experienced. And it was difficult now, but it is much softer from the viewpoint of the Maharishi Jyotish. And also, the way that economy, science, and religion is developed as separated from each other, as not connected, is what gets blended, because there is more a field of consciousness in society that connects how the economic is developed, not so integrating human values with profit, but not only just more selfish, but in a more holistic vision of that the economy that improves in a broader perspective is better economy for all, because the planet has limited resources and environment that when it's considered in its totality, everyone is benefited. Or the same, yes. The same with the relations in the countries. Defending each nation is very important. Defending mankind is more important, and that's what we had felt now. This virus didn't have any preference. They had borders, mean nothing. It was a field. So the whole mankind, whether it was in one type of individual, one type of religion, one type of economic or political social system, became more. We are one. Put everyone more silent, and that field of consciousness starts to permeate more in society, because there is an upsurge gradually of all the results of so much coherence being created by everyone transcending in the world. And then what happens? Affects gradually the values of religion. Yes, the religions, they become more based on experience and on spirituality and less fighting each other on an idea. The same with politics. The governments, they are more criticized by their performance. The people demands more from the governments because wants better quality of life. And the governments, they have to deliver this demand on the population, and then there is tensions in the world because not that there is wars, but there is a concern of better quality of life for the people and a deeper transformation value. So in every area of society, in every area of human concern, the areas that usually they were isolated, they become more connected. And that connection is permeated by a new level of consciousness, which starts to show different values in all those areas. And naturally, science also has this realization. Science and spirituality are getting closer. Religion and spirituality, politics and science, all these fields that they have been separated, they are getting more unified. And in this unification, we are going to a new time where consciousness becomes the ruler of society, and the understanding that we are all in one level united, and that is not only in the internet, but is also in our own consciousness. And that is where we are heading. And that is not only the view of Maharishi Jyotish, it is the view of many, many different experts from the angle of Jyotish and astrology and others, that they have been trying to give an understanding why this period is so special.
It's a very exciting time, Raja Luis-ji, and this coronavirus, as you just said, it put us all back to be more silent, and that is almost as if it was designed to bring out this greater value of unification, of consciousness unifying all the people and all the different aspects of society. It's and that the internet has been there and is now really part of society. Both of them together, it's as though they were almost a part of the plan to bring about this new stage.
Of course, the digital revolution, the transformation of society, the digital age is part of but in the digital age, there is this recovering of the deepest of human dimension. And the recovery of the best of human dimension is the recovery of the development of consciousness. And this is an understanding that Maharishi and Maharajaji have been giving us, all the time. But it's going to be, and it's understood by our people, but it's the same way that yoga and meditation, they are now popular, and 20 years ago, meditation was not popular. Now they are household terms. This growth of consciousness is making the conscious of collective consciousness, of role of the individual in the peace of the countries, and the technologies of consciousness are going to become household. So this is to just some broader perspective to this situation rather than the specifics. That's like a broader consideration.
Yes, and I think that's what people need to know, so that they can see that it really is a process of transformation, going from what was in the past more fragmented towards a new future, more unified, and that it's going to be better. It's not that we are going into a disaster.
No. It's going to get better because the capacity of human regeneration in transformation is infinite, because that capacity comes from the self, from the being of everyone. And that is being established, so deeply rooted. But sometimes it seems, and that deeper the transformation, deeper the having to to experience these layers and then react in a transformed way. We are not the same as before, and that maybe not being the same as before makes us all maybe more humble and more valuing what is important and caring for everyone more and allowing consciousness. And our consciousness wants to reach others naturally. So this, we all want that this don't need to happen, and it's very dramatic for the life of so many people. So it has a very dramatic moment for all of us in the health and in the economy. But if we look at it from a larger, very broader perspective, for a moment, which we have to, it's not that we are. Maheshi puts the example of the ship going to the right direction that faces suddenly some obstacle, and there is a sudden turn, and the turn looks like we are not advancing, we are returning. In reality, it's just moving in the right way to face the obstacle and to reach the goal in a better way. So that's where we are. That's where we are going.
So we are going around the obstacle.
Well, we are experiencing that now, gradually, but with lighter consciousness. And anyway, so things are getting better. Many, they're already experiencing that. Many will experience in the next week, so this period of short-term month. And then, of course, there'll be a more flexibility and human transformation that will allow faster and better absorption and implementation of our knowledge, because it's not a luxury of a few individuals. It is a necessary technology for the household, for the people, for the well-being of the world. Anyway, sorry for all this long talk about all this.
It's fascinating, Raja Luis G, and I think everybody will be very happy to be able to have this perspective on it, because otherwise, if you just read the newspaper, then there's no perspective on it, and it's just one disaster after another. But you mentioned that as I understood, with the pandemic, coronavirus, Europe is coming out of it a bit earlier than the Americas.
Yes.
Now, the other aspects which may be affected in this transformation, like social violence, are the Americas also a little bit behind Europe?
No, you are referring to the situation now in the US?
Yes.
As was mentioned by the Maheshi Jyotish, that from the 28th of May to the 5th or 6th of June, there was going to be this lot of tension and also difficulties in the country and in the relations. But again, these deep social transformations, they look in the surface like very disruptive. On the overall long term, they are it's like when everyone has to transform, no one can be comfortable. When the whole society was one area and the rest is okay, but when there has to be a global transformation, everyone has a role. And everyone has a role means the consciousness of everyone participates in one way or the other, in that the world is changing, and we are changing time for a better and much better world that needs sometimes a little bit to be shaken, unfortunately, in order that the deepest level of the best of us comes on the surface.
Beautiful. So that is a different thing about the tension in the US. It's not the same trend that you described.
This is a time where there is a lot of disturbances. But this problem in US, again, it is the Maheshi Jyotish, they told that UNESCO is going to have this week and the previous and the next week, all this social unrest, but the social unrest and the coronavirus or the economic situation, what they do is makes our life more extreme, makes our perception that the comfort of life, of the values that we have conquered, they are not available. But that's not necessarily bad, because makes us all increase our humanity, our ability to reach each other, our showing the very best that we are. And maybe that those areas that had not been mobilized start to be mobilized, and the comfort level that sometimes doesn't allow the deepest progress now is moving to a better comfort that will allow deepest progress. That is from the big perspective. On the short term, they already said that this period until the 21 of June, this June, from now to 5th of June, and from the 5th to the 21st, there are a period of lot of shakiness, and that the government also will be shaken, the leadership of the government. But again, we don't want to, we want to keep our big perspective of consciousness growing, things getting better gradually, and focusing in our role, which is don't read so much the negativity. Don't look the paper so much. Maybe once a day, like Maharaja says, or twice. Meditate, knowledge, do our creation of coherence, do our yagyas, make our contribution from within, from without, from outside, with to our friends and to our people in need, and create the very best. And this I have seen in the movement everywhere. So much knowledge being by the Rajas and the national directors, the governors. There is a festival of knowledge in Maharaja's knowledge every week, in Facebook, in Facebook, for example. We were talking 2 weeks ago that the live meditation, those sessions in Facebook that Maharaja was doing for reaching out the people that cannot yet learn to meditate, but to give them something so they can prepare for when the right time comes to learn TM. You remember, Dr. Swan? Mm. And we mentioned that in one country, in Paraguay, we were doing with UNESCO and the government of Paraguay, those 400 or 500 teachers, they were having sessions on this, that we have to organize a program. You remember that we mentioned that 2 weeks ago when we had the chat?
Yes.
So now this has spread because of the success. That's what I'm saying. Good signs of progress. Like what has spread now? One can go to the site of the government of Paraguay, Ministry of Education, and these classes are there on link available for the students and the master, the teachers on the field of education in Paraguay. And from there I went to Peru, and Javier was telling today that more than 2,000 students are already also doing something similar in the schools. They cannot learn meditation, so they are doing all this preparation of meditation and with breathing exercise that Maharajaji was recommending. And then in El Salvador, the same situation, and in Mexico and in Brazil, suddenly 4 or 5 countries already having large hundreds or thousands of teachers on the government and educational, that they are doing these techniques and these programs as a way to prepare for consciousness-based education. And it's like a big feast of knowledge that happens, since when we spoke last time was just Paraguay, now it's spread in 4 or 5 countries in a very big way.
It's wonderful, Raja Luis-ji. It's very, very inspiring to hear this. Because then they don't just think, oh, what is this meditation? This is something very practical which they can understand and they can feel immediately.
And prepares them, so when they have meditation, they have been nourished and prepared, and soon they'll have our transcendental meditation. So very good things are happening in the midst of this process that all our mankind we are having to transform together to be better, all of us, and to live better together, and that's what we are learning. So that is the growth of coherence in the well. That is this field of consciousness that is gradually becoming more predominant in society. And that is the holistic reading of the Jyotis from an overview perspective, like you asked me.
Mm-hmm. Raja Luis-ji, I have a small question. You said, and you've explained very beautifully, how this time of transformation is bringing the unity value more to the surface, and the transformation is pushing us to show the best of ourselves, bringing the better values, caring values, and more to the surface. Now, some people feel that some government leaders are not showing this at all. They are, if anything, showing almost the opposite. How can we understand that?
Government is governed by the collective consciousness. That is, we remain with our knowledge, and we understand that as a part of the events we see this behavior. But we were saying that one of the characteristics, according to Maheshi Jyotish, of this period is that the leadership at this moment, it will be better in August, September, but at this moment, the leadership experiences heavy criticism, and it's not an easy moment for any leader of any government at the moment, because the tension of the transformation, this sensation that they are not leading something that is known but is unknown, and they are going with it while it's happening, brings a sensation in the people. And some leaders, they are doing that in a softer way, some they are more strong, and there is insatisfaction. There is the people want better quality of government. But again, rather than criticizing anyone, what we see is growing values of transformation in society. And the leaders that they'll be able to raise to these situations, they'll continue to lead. And the ones that they are not, probably they will not. Because time is changing, and we are all being transformed by the time, and we are not the same as this when it started.
Yes. Maharshi many times said that, this leader is not able to rise to the situation, rise to the higher consciousness of the people, and they will be hooted out of office, Maharshi said many, many times. So, yes, this makes sense.
So this is the situation in our what we have Maharaja guiding us and telling us super radiance, yagya, knowledge, teaching wherever is possible, and allow consciousness, fertilize consciousness in the world, which is our role. And this same consciousness is building up, and of course we want to move out of this difficult period for everyone as soon as possible, and we want everyone to recover their health and to recover their economy. And we appreciate the enormous efforts done by every government to deal with this and to give the best care to every person in their countries. And from a larger perspective of consciousness, we see that a better time is coming for the world. And this is our concern. And that, as Maheshi said, after this period will be our delight.
Beautiful. So when does our delight start? In September?
Well, our delight is every day, because in every day there are many good news that they are happening that we don't see, because we are surmounted by the tons of news, and then that, but there are very, very wonderful things are already happening, but we will feel them more in the surface in September.
Okay. Tell us one more beautiful thing, Raja Luis-ji.
That they are happening in the world.
Yes.
An incredible appreciation and understanding of health and environment in a different way, more holistic, which are going to allow Maharishi Ayurveda, Maharishi Vedic agriculture, Maharishi Yagya to have a role as technologies of society, and so many things like that. The educational systems in the world, the health systems in the world, the policies, the thinking of the great leaders is changing so fast. And we don't want to say more because there are things developing very preciously. But what we can say is it's going to be a better world. What is happening is a big block on the progress in order to allow a biggest transformation to happen in the best possible way. And we wanted to finish as soon as possible, and we are doing humbly all our very best with the supreme knowledge that Maharishi gave us, and the leadership of Maharajaji. But policies in health, environment, globally are going to shift so much, and so that is going to allow all this knowledge that was called alternative to be mainstream very deeply. And this is a great delight that so many years, so many of our people has been working in so many of these areas, and those areas are going to be so much appreciated in society by everyone, not just by a few people that appreciates them, but it's going to be more global, more social, more available. And you are a great expert in the field of agriculture and environment, Dr. Swan, and you're going to see that the relation of the man with the environment, the human being with the environment, is going to be different after this situation in a more positive way.
And we have to congratulate all those who are taking advantage of this situation. There is such a huge response, as you have said, to all the knowledge offerings, Maharaja's meetings and webinars, and the courses that are being offered through Maharishi International University, through Meru, online, through the centers. It's a tremendous response. People are appreciating it so much. And so we have to congratulate all those who are alert to offer the knowledge and to accept and take advantage of the knowledge, because they are the main agents which are helping this transformation to take place quickly and in a more positive and in a more smooth way.
The thing is that the movement belongs to the ones that we move, and we these days our movement is very, very active. So it's so precious that we are moving all on knowledge, and we are all flying in knowledge. And I think that has an effect in the whole society. And we also thank everyone in the world that is using the opportunity to give and share the best they know for others, because it's one mankind, one consciousness, one field of consciousness, one being, and it's becoming more clear for everyone.
Jai Gurudev, thank you so much, Raja Luis Ji. Yes, it is. And people are even commenting all over that nature is more clear, the weather is more clear, the sky is more clear. And so it's a great time of transformation that is setting a new course for mankind and for the whole world, for the environment, for the ecology, for everything.
Yesterday was the day of Ganga. Now in Haridwar and in the north of India, they are drinking the water for the first time in 100 years. They couldn't do that. So pure that the water is now. So it's special in so many ways. Mankind is very strong. The knowledge that Maharishi gave us has its role in accomplishing a great progress for every human being. Let's use it to the maximum. Let's use it the best. And if we haven't done best, see that how better we can do now. Take this opportunity for improvement. And let's make this blossoming happen for all our well family very quickly. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Thank you so much, Raja Luis Ji, for bringing this beautiful, wise, inspiring vision of the current situation. Without this wisdom and this knowledge, it's not easy to understand what's happening. But now we see that the process of transformation is taking place and that it is giving rise to a much more unified society, a much more unified world that is going to be better in every way. Thank you so much, Raja Luis Ji, and all appreciation for everything you are doing. Here is Latin America, which you are taking care of so beautifully, and Europe and Mexico and everything, Africa, and they're all blossoming under your beautiful, wise care. Jai Gurudev.
Dr. Swan, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you to everyone that participates in every of the programs. And let this incredible way of movement, appreciation, don't finish when the things become a little bit milder and softer. Let's have it as a new thing we all have learned during this period, which is how precious is our knowledge and how lively is our family. Let's keep that as a permanent thing. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
In Ireland, they say, your word in God's ear. So thank you, Raja Luis Ji, and all glory to Maharshi Ji. His technologies, his knowledge, what he has given to the world is just spreading through the world, uplifting it now in every way. And as Raja Luis says, it's going to become just completely well accepted in every level of society, will no longer be kind of on the side or alternative, but will come into the mainstream. And that will be really a new age of health, of happiness, of success, of care for the environment, of balance of economy and environment and individual and social. A wonderful time is dawning, which Maharshi saw so long ago. So we end now by ringing the bell of invincibility. Jai Gurudev.
Heaven is descending, descending on the earth. Heaven is descending, descending on the earth. Heaven on earth, heaven on earth, heaven on earth. Heaven is descending, descending on the earth. Light of God is bringing heaven on earth. Gurudev's grace is bringing heaven on earth. Heaven on earth, heaven on earth, heaven on earth. Light of God is bringing heaven on earth.